Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. It's another episode of this show that focuses on all things books. Today we are going into the maritime industry. You know, I will never understand why we pay too much attention to the oil and gas sector. I think the oil and gas sector is massively overrated. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still a very important sector all over the world, no doubt about it. But within the context of Nigeria, that is immensely blessed, why are we too focused on the oil and gas sector? Did you know that 90% of world trade is on the seas? 90%. Now imagine the enormous amount, the large number of goods that go across seas all over the world. And unfortunately for Nigeria, most of the trading ships, that come here, come in with goods because we are an importing nation. We hardly export a lot of things, sadly. Now, if we focus on the maritime industry, this whole country will be transformed. Well, the experts say so, so I say so too. Now, one of the experts is our guest on the show today. He's written an amazing book titled An Admiral's Compass. And who better to write such a book than Rear Admiral Francis Akpan, retired. Let's get to meet with him and then dive into the conversation we had with him, focusing on his book, An Admiral's Compass.
Rear Admiral Francis Dan Akpan, retired, was a seaman executive officer where he specialized in aviation. A flag lieutenant ADC to Chief of General Staff of Nigeria and the pioneer defense advisor to South Africa with concurrent accreditation to Botswana, Namibia, Madagascar, and the kingdoms of Lesotho and Swaziland. He owns a diploma degree from the British Air University, Perth, Scotland, and PSc Dagger from the Armed Forces Command and Staff College, and a FWC Plus Dagger from National War College, Nigeria, to mention a few. After retirement, he became a security consultant to blue-chip organizations and a well-sought-after public speaker. Rear Admiral Francis Akpan is the author of An Admiral Compass, Reflections on Leadership, Military Strategy and Maritime Security.
Rear Admiral, nice to have you on Channels Book Club.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot.
What is it like? I mean, there's a lot to talk about your book, and we'll get into this very soon. But I'm always curious. I like to ask people this, just to get a peep into their world. What's it like being a naval officer? And perhaps more importantly, being a rear admiral. What's it like?
First, thank you for having me on your program. It's been nice watching you from afar and admiring you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me very close shot, close by.
Thank you, sir.
We admire your works over the years, and I never knew I'd be on your screen as soon as early as this.
It's an honor having you here.
I'm really privileged to
Thank
be
you.
here. The naval career is interestingly linked to global development. I look at it from that perspective. The opportunities are various. The naval career is fulfilling, very fulfilling, very, very fulfilling. I think it's because of the opportunities that it throws up at you, whether you are from the enlistments as a rating or you've come in as a cadet, a career officer. The opportunities are enormous. I can tell you that without any hesitation.
I can almost see the glitter in your eyes. Yeah. It's like you're reflecting back over the many years.
Yes.
And seeing everything you experienced and all the opportunities you saw.
Yes.
Wow, incredible. I mean, it's one of the things that fascinates me. I talk to engineers, I ask the same question, or medical doctors, because when you are not any of those, you really can't get the full picture,
right,
of what life is like. But this is a profession that has fascinated me from afar, and it's a pleasure.
The Navy.
Sitting down with you, yeah.
It's amazing. From your time as a cadet in NDA, you meet your peers from the Army and the Air Force. You grow up into the Navy as a cadet, and you are taken through the ropes and the rungs. Fortunately, we had very seasoned career officers that took us through the ropes. One of them passed on not too long ago, Admiral, who was our first commanding officer. May so rest in peace. We had a crop of seasoned guys to really mold us into the Navy career. Remember, we just came out of NDA, ready to go, but this time you were to be mellowed down, given the technical nature of the service, put through the rungs of discipline, to be able to manage expensive platforms bought by tax-paying money, both ships, later in my career, aircraft, later bigger ships, and of course, huge assets. When I was flag officer commanding, 75% of naval assets under your command. So we were privileged to be groomed by seasoned officers. Don't want to call them learned because they were not lawyers, but seasoned professionally, ethically, and morally seasoned to be able to go through the rungs of being a naval officer. Yeah.
Forgive my ignorance. Rear Admiral in the Navy, is that the pinnacle?
You could say yes, the pinnacle. After
in terms of ranks?
It's not the pinnacle. You have Vice Admiral.
Okay, the Vice Admiral.
You have Admiral.
And then Admiral.
Foster, yeah.
Ah, okay. Forgive my ignorance.
No problem, no problem. We're all learning.
Okay.
We're all learning.
Okay. Great. I mean, now, so you took all those years, all those experiences, it's like you packed them into this book I'm holding in my hand.
Exactly.
That was your intention, right? And as you answer that question, please use the opportunity to enlighten viewers on what this book, An Admiral's Compass, Reflections on Leadership, Military Strategy, and Maritime Security is all about.
Briefly, it's about reflections of my thoughts from when I started delivering papers from the Armed Forces Command and Staff College in Jaji in 1998. I think my first paper then was on maritime environment. Today it has metamorphosed into the maritime domain awareness that everybody's talking about. But maritime awareness was just a geographic expression of maritime responsibilities to states. Maritime domain awareness is that geographic expression, but added to it are activities in that geographic expression. Maritime domain could be equated to maritime environment, but the awareness aspect is that you know what is happening there, either through technology or by presence or by expeditionary activities. But yes, so that's what it is. That reflection has to do with papers I've delivered or papers I've presented at several fora from 1998 to the year 2020, because there was a particular chapter of paper I delivered at the Defense College on sea power and its consequence on naval operation, which I delivered in April, and this book was launched in July. So it was that close.
This is a material, talk about legacy work. This is just the perfect definition of that, because wherever you are in years to come, and after you have left, as we will all leave one day, this is a material that generations after, people in the Navy, people in the maritime sector can refer to. And it's interesting the way you cut across maritime security, maritime strategy, military strategy, and all that. So your intention was to have a broad perspective of this subject in one book, right?
That was my intention. I knew that I realized too, whilst in service, and after leaving service, I've been privileged to be part of an advocacy group to National Assembly. I realized that there were a huge shortage of understanding of the concepts of managing the military itself, the Navy in particular, especially from the aspect of leadership, because leadership itself meant that you must have the wherewithal to be able to manage what you want to lead. Our leadership of the military comes in about 3 or 4 rungs. Firstly, the generality of the Navy, the generals, the air marshals, and the admirals that manage the service, and then the oversight from National Assembly. You also have some aspect of the judiciary as it pertains to the laws.
Yes.
Because the military, have this duplex in terms of jurisdiction. You have the Armed Forces Act and the Constitution. So you have a great deal of legalistic issues in the management of the military. And of course, the executive. And I thought that in fashioning this book, we will have a handbook for them too. So if you are going to dare to be part of that leadership role in the military, this is it. And of course, if you are going to grow from the young officer to the middle level officer and then to the policy-making generals and the rest.
This is a handbook.
Yeah.
And for we laymen like us too,
you need it.
I mean, it's interesting.
No, you need it.
It's interesting. I mean, I'm talking about being a layman. I will like you to come down to that level now, which you try to do in certain aspects of your book. I mean, when you talk about, one of the things that stands out in your book is, for somebody who is not, I'm not a naval officer, neither am I, neither do I function in the maritime sector. But it helps to see the enormous size and capacity of the maritime sector. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And then you try to place the Navy within that whole spectrum and define its roles and its responsibilities and its challenges and its requirements to operate successfully within that. But coming back to speaking to the layman now, I mean, we're talking about something enormous here, right?
Kunle, the sea is humongous. The sea presents a common heritage globally. That's what it is. It's the superhighway of the world. Super. It covers 75% of the mass called the Earth. Indeed, because of climate change, I think we can rightly say about 80%.
Whoa.
So you only have about 20. So you have a dwindling of the resources on land. Compressing of the resources on land. And the only place left for mankind is the sea. That is why there is the new, it's not a phase word, it's a new theory, which is being encapsulated now, about the blue economy. The blue economy is about tapping the resources at sea for the betterment of all of us on land. And it's a crave that Nigeria must buy into. What we are doing just now with the blue economy is just on the surface. Because everything we must do in the 21st century has to do with how to harness the blue economy for the benefit of all of us as Nigerians, a littoral state. Secondly, the huge resources at sea. We cannot afford as a littoral state to ignore them. Huge. That have been pirated, stolen, tapped, etc. But let me talk about the essence of the Navy in all this.
Yes.
The Navy is the only maritime force constitutionally responsible to bear arms and go out there and create the environment that we need for trade. Because the whole essence about the Navy is to provide the ambience and the well-endowed environment, peaceful environment for trade, maritime trade to function. Now, if that is the only maritime force that we have, we must prepare it, we must nurture it, we must put it in place, we must equip it, we must fund it, we must train it, we must preserve it for it to be able to perform that role. Looking at that bigger picture of the large maritime space, the large endowment in terms of resources, the large opportunities, the fact that Nigeria is like the trigger aspect of the map of Africa, the Gulf of Guinea, the challenges it presents, we have a Navy that must be well nurtured, well equipped, well funded, well grounded to provide that environment so that our tomorrow, which will be resources from the blue economy, might be factual and more bountiful than what we're experiencing now. What we're getting now from maritime trade, from overall GDP, currently is just less than 3%.
Less than 3%.
Less than 3% of GDP is from the maritime subsector. 3%. Wow. That's what we get.
Wow.
Yes. 3%.
That's sad.
That means we have not done anything.
We've not tapped.
To tap from the blue economy.
Rear Admiral Francis Dan Akpan, nice to have you on Channels Book Club. And I mean, great book, great gifts you have given Nigeria and the world with this book. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure having you.
Being here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.